Alright, so I don't even know what I'll call my channel eventually, but here goes. So, I have three bikes that I'm restoring. They're all three Schwinns, and I'll kind of give you an idea where I'm at right now. This is a 1973 Schwinn World Voyageur. It was only made for about a year. It's got the early Dura Ace componentry on it. I painted this bike as you see it. Most of the componentry is original. There's a few things that are not. This bottom bracket is not, but I still have the original bottom bracket. And the seat is, back up here, not original to it. So it's kind of an interesting bike for 1973. That was, so if I can get it to focus, Schwinn's head badge. It did not say Schwinn on it. And that's because Schwinn had this bike made in Japan by Panasonic Bicycle Company for them. It's actually a really, really nice bike for the year that it was made. Cost about $250 American dollars in 1973. So it was in pretty bad shape. There wasn't much paint left on it. There was some rust. There you can still see there is some rust still on it, but I've brought it back to where it's going to be quite enjoyable to ride. All my bikes I build to ride. I don't build to sell, and some people do that, but I don't. I just have decided that I was going to buy and build what I liked and what I wanted to ride. So this is the current project. A previous project is right here, and this is a 1968 Schwinn Racer. This was an early paint job by me, and I went ahead and put decals on it and everything and got it almost built, and there's some flaws in the paint because of the way I painted, and I'm not really set up to do a professional paint job. So I've watched some videos, and it's stripped pretty much down now. I still have a few things to take off of it, and it's going to the powder coaters. So if anybody isn't sure whether maybe I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to send it to the powder coater. These are the original grips that came with the bike. They're pretty neat. And I've had to hunt some parts up, like that original Sturmey Archer shifter. The original one on it was completely rusted out. I got a new bottom bracket crank set for it. Everything has been rebuilt. I've rebuilt the hubs. The rear hub is a 3-speed Sturmey Archer, and it's upstairs. I was just adding a few small parts to it. So this is bike number 2 that's going to get worked on while I'm working on this one. Now, the original goal was to finish that bike and then start on this. This is a 1962 Schwinn Panther, and here's the chain guard hanging up there. Schwinn Panther 3, and that was hanging, or I'm sorry, not hanging, but setting in someone's yard as a lawn ornament. So I knew what it was because it had the chain guard on it. It didn't have anything else on it that really was Schwinn related. It had part of a head badge. This bike's never going to be 100%, I don't think, original. It's just going to be too hard. Kind of like this bike was only made for a year, so some of the little pieces and parts have been hard to get because they're all upper end. This bike is going to be hard to get parts for. Number one, that chain guard hanging up there is partially chrome and partially painted, and I can't find one close to it without spending a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money. Number two, the head badge that I put on here, that's not original. This took a very rare Schwinn head badge. It was actually an experimental plastic head badge that was silver with like a sunburst pattern in the back with black Schwinn letters. They're still around, but to give you an idea, like This Schwinn head badge I might get for $5 or $10. The original one for that, I found one that was usable for $80. So I don't know where I'm going to go with that. Number 3, the tank for this. I wanted a tank bike. Same frame as any other Schwinn tank bike, but it's what they call a half tank. So the tank only comes down midway, and part of this is exposed. Again, extremely expensive item. So I'm probably going to go for a reproduction full tank with a horn in it. It'll look pretty good. The paint on these is very special, so I don't know. I'm not going to powder coat because I want the full effect of it having the paint job with original transfer type decals. There's a couple of things that I've got to look into with it. Number one, these are hand painted on. These stripes on the side, these were all hand painted on. These Schwinn bikes are kind of different. They had like a silver paint underneath and then a red transparent paint, and they did this with blue as well and maybe some other colors. So I don't know that I'm going to go that route again. I might do a red metal flake. If I could find some vinyl decals that would match really close to what it needs, I might do a powder coat and a red metal flake, like a dark red metal flake. I have the headset. I have all of this stuff. I have a new bottom bracket crank. I don't think I have, well, I might have a kickstand for it. I don't have a seat yet, but I have grips, original grips, and all that stuff. And over here in this pile, I have a kickback 2-speed, I believe there's a kickback 2-speed Bendix for that. So it would have either had a standard coaster brake, 2-speed kickback, and then the more expensive 3-speed kickback Bendix. So that's where I'm at with that bike. That's my last bike. That's going to be, I'm saying that's going to be my full winter project, because I expect to have this done and this done by fall. So by October, early November, everything will be done, and that'll be on a bike rack getting done. That's my goal. And I did that bike right there. I drove 140 miles one way in one day to buy a bunch of parts for that bike. And then my local bike shop got that in, which is a girl's bike, and it had a lot of parts on it that I could use too. So I bought that for like $40. So it's a parts bike. I'm never going to use the frame probably unless I get some crazy idea for the frame. But so I got some extra cranks now. The chain guard on this bike is probably going to get used on that somehow. I'm not sure how, but that's the goal. So here are my projects. Road bike, 3-speed town bike, and vintage cruiser bike. Alright guys, whatever I should name this channel in the future, I don't know, but we'll see where it goes from here. But those are the bikes: the 1973 Schwinn, the 1968 Schwinn, and the 1962 Schwinn. And I'm not just going to do videos on Schwinn because Schwinn is like the most plentiful thing in America, it seems like. But what I really want to find, because I'm partial to them, is these are my modern bikes. So I'm only 5'8", so I have small frame bikes, but this is my C30. Means a lot to me because my dad helped me pick that out, and he's passed away now. He had an old Raleigh when he was a younger guy. So that's why I bought that, and I bought that to restore because he had a 3-speed Schwinn when he was a kid, and before he had the 3-speed, he had a tank bike. So those all kind of have a purpose. And then the Specialized I have because my dad's sister, who's also passed away, this was her bike, and she was in a bicycle club. So my background is I've been around bicycles a lot. I worked in a bike shop for about a year when I was 18. And I learned a lot of things, and I got away from bicycles for a long time. And over the last 2 years, year or two, I've gotten back into them, and I pulled out all my old tools and everything, and I've started working on them. The only thing I don't have is a stand, which right here in the basement, this is where I'm going to build a bench and a stand eventually. So that's kind of where I'm at. These bikes need tune-ups. My bike definitely does. My wife rides the Specialized. It runs pretty good. It doesn't have any issues. But this guy right here, I've wanted a road bike for a long time. So we're going to build it up and we're going to get it finished. But again, I don't just want Schwinns. It's just what happens to be plentiful in this area. There were 2 Schwinn dealers over the last 50 or 60 years. And so there's Schwinns everywhere, and it was the biggest name in America. But I would like to find a vintage town bike in a Raleigh, or a racer bike in a Raleigh, or something else from around Nottingham, maybe a Robin Hood, a Hercules would be nice, a BSA, something like that. And not in a girl's bike. In a guy's bike, if I had to take a little bit bigger frame, I would. They're just so hard to get around here. They really are. So, if anyone likes this video, give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe. I don't think I have any subscribers. You're staring at my basement at the moment, but it will become a workshop. I've been working down here off and on for a year now, so I've got it cleaned up, but at least you get to see the bikes. And if anyone has any questions or advice, please feel free to give it to me. And thanks a lot for watching this. Take care.